So today we're talking about standard operating procedures and why they're important. So why SOPs? The P3S model says that our policies, processes, and procedures and our standards ensure the safe, effective, and efficient operation of aircraft. Advisory Circular 12071 Bravo is where the FAA recognizes SOPs as the foundation of safe aviation operations. This helps pilots understand how to effectively and efficiently meet the different specific requirements for different phases of flight. So that's going to be your takeoff, landing, approach, different phases. And it also gives pilots easy access to the most updated information and industry best practices. So SOPs are clearly important for us to maintain our safety. But what happens when these SOPs get it wrong? So sometimes there's new equipment gets put out, which changes our SOPs. There's environmental changes. The company mandates different procedures, or occupational problems occur. One of these operational problems. One of these operational problems that was identified in the mid-1990s was ice bridging. Ice bridging was kind of the theory or the myth that once a thin layer of ice accumulated on the front of the leading edge of the wing, a de-ice boot would expand and break that ice away. But the theory was that as these boots expanded, if there was just a little bit of ice, the ice wouldn't break away. Instead, it would form a sort of bridge over that expanded ice boot. Then when the ice boot deflated, that bridge would still remain and more ice would accumulate on top of the bridge. And when the ice boot expanded again to break that ice off, it would have an air pocket underneath the bridge caused by the ice, and it would be ineffective. Now, this was after the mid-1990s, determined to be a myth. Now, anytime there's any ice accumulation at all, those ice boots are activated and the ice breaks away. Any amount of trace ice, and the manufacturers have changed their operating procedures to say inflate the boots. Unfortunately, incidents and accidents are sometimes the reason why operational procedures change, as we will see in this aircraft accident. So here's an aircraft accident flying under corporate CFR Part 135. It was an air track incorporated flight that was an air ambulance, and at 500 feet, the first officer noticed rime ice on the windscreen. The de-ice boots were not activated when they noticed this rime ice because the SOPs said they wanted to see at least a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of ice before these ice boots were activated. And again, that was to prevent this ice bridging myth. Well, what ended up happening was the aircraft's right wingtip struck the runway's overrun area when the wing stalled due to the accumulation of trace ice. Luckily, the accident was non-fatal, though. So this is an example of an operation procedure failing and then needing to be updated. So although this incident was a result of a poorly conceived operating procedure, at the time, this shed light on the need to change the operating procedure regarding icing conditions. Aircraft manufacturers have now adopted procedures to activate the de-ice boots at the first sign of any ice. Flight departments should constantly be looking to update these standard operating procedures with the most updated information and best practices. Pre-1990, that was the best information they had. Now, with the advancement of the ice boots, the rapid inflation and deflation rates of these ice boots, they've determined that this bridge icing is no longer a concern, and ice boots should be turned on as soon as possible, or as soon as ice is noticed anyways. The use of updated procedures have reduced the number of ice-related accidents. So, promoting SOPs. SOPs have a significant impact on the reliability of both scheduled and non-scheduled air transportation. 12071 Bravo said SOPs are essential for all Part 121 and Part 135 carriers, and the FAA is also encouraging other operations such as flight schools, flight training centers to utilize SOPs because they ensure that the best practices are being used, the best industry practices are being used. So SOPs are obviously extremely important, and they're going to be continued to be something used in safety management systems and risk management and threat and error management as well in the future. So we should continue to use our SOPs. Here's some of the references that I used. We used Q6 Commercial Aviation Safety, the Advisory Circular, and also the NTSB for the accident report. So any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them in the comments. I look forward to seeing what you guys have.